Okay, so we're going to do a task 1 bar chart. I haven't done a bar chart yet, so this is from Cambridge 13. This is test 3, this bar chart. Now I just want to show you in test 2, there is another bar chart in test 2. But I just want you to be aware of these, the difference between these types of bar chart. You see here on the bottom there's a long, there is time, in years in this case. 1918 to 2011. They call this dynamic bar chart because it changes over time. The other one is called static bar chart because it's not about changing over time. What you should realize about this kind of bar chart is that it's actually just a line chart. You can join all of these, join all of those, and you've got a line chart. So these dynamic bar charts are actually just line charts. It means you can use the words increase and decrease with this kind of bar chart, increased from 1953 to 1961 or whatever. But with the static, you can't use the word increase or decrease. So let's just go back to the one we're doing today on a Word document. Students get a bit confused. You see, this is just 2014. It's a static bar chart. Let me write those words here. Static and dynamic. Static means it's not changing, dynamic means it is changing. So this one, it's a static bar chart. It's only for 1 year. The dynamic is over many years, which actually ends up being a line chart. Alright, so let's take a look. The bar chart shows the top 10 countries for the production and consumption of electricity for 2014. Right, so let's quickly just do our noun phrases. Noun phrase 1 is actually, no, noun phrase 2 is in the question. Can you see it? Production of electricity and consumption of electricity. That means noun phrase 1 is, alright, so great, that's noun phrase 1. Synonyms for that, can you think of any? Maybe generation, we can use that later. Consumption, just use is fine. Of electricity, cool. So that means noun phrase 2 is, I'll just do 1, but you can see all of them there. So that'll be production of electricity, consumption of electricity, generation of electricity, use of electricity. Great. And noun phrase 3 is, electricity is uncountable noun, so we say the amount. And then, do I say was or were? With uncountable, we say was. Alright, and that's our noun phrase 3. Now, let me just point out a very common mistake. People don't know how to make this verb from this noun. They say producted and consumpted, and that's wrong. Please know it's how to make these past tense verbs, the ed verb, from that, produced and consumed. Great. Paraphrase. The bar chart below shows the bar graph. They don't say anything about data on or information on, so I'll add that in. The bar graph provides information about the top 10 countries for the production and consumption of electricity. Interesting, this is quite unusual. So let's use, this is noun phrase 2, so let's use noun phrase 1. So I just went noun phrase 1 here, electricity generation, electricity use in 10 countries in 2014. That's fine. You could go up a level and say something about the top 10. So let me try another one. So this one is slightly sort of band 7, 8 kind of paraphrase, I would say. The 10 countries which generated and used the most electricity in 2014. Because then we're saying the top 10, the 10 which used the most. So that includes the top 10 thing. But really, I think this is fine. It's not such a problem. Don't do this unless you're comfortable with doing it, because there we're using the relative pronoun. So I'm actually just going to delete that one. Paraphrase is not super important. Okay, now on to overview. what can you see? Now you need to look at all of these numbers, and there's one thing that I notice is that the production is always slightly higher than the consumption, except for Germany. And that's a good enough overview. Overall, it can be seen that. Overall, it can be seen that electricity production was always slightly higher than electricity consumption, except in Germany. Another thing I did notice is that this is much bigger than all of these. So if you notice that thing, if you have time, add it on quickly. So I would just say, and that China and the USA produced and consumed by far the largest amount of electricity. Like I say, that one you didn't really have to put in, but if you see it, if the idea comes to you, if you're not going to make grammar mistakes, then by all means put it in. Right, now we're onto our body paragraphs. Now we need to decide how we're going to divide our paragraphs. Some students might want to do all of these top 5 and then the bottom 5. I don't really think so. I prefer to go with these. One paragraph for production, one paragraph for consumption. Right. But then you need to be clear and tell the examiner, this is going to be the production paragraph, this is going to be the consumption paragraph. So you're going to use your linking language. So I'm going to use my normal linking language, looking at the first data set in more detail. This, you can change the first chart, but it's all one chart, so you can't say the first chart. The first data set in more detail. But I just want to be really clear and say, on electricity production, the first data set on electricity production in more detail, it can clearly be seen that it is evident that. Alright, so there is our that, and now we're going to come in with one of our noun phrases. So let's use the big one. Start off nicely. The amount of electricity which was produced in China. So there's our preposition. The preposition, remember, goes over here after the subject of the sentence, was the highest. There's the main verb, and there is our X at that. Alright, we've done that kind of sentence before. It's a very common, you want to learn and do it exactly this way. Subject, preposition phrase, main verb, X, and then some numbers. Learn how to do it exactly like that. Students want to say, put China in the subject and say, China was the highest. But I'll speak about that in the next video. In the next video, I'm going to do a student essay and discuss that. Just do it this way. You only need to learn how to do it one way. Alright. Now, next, we could say next after that, but I'm just going to say followed by the USA. Now, I just want to show you something that I actually should have done. I don't want to keep on saying billion, billion, billion. So what you could do is in brackets over here, you can say BKWH. So then the examiner knows from then on, anytime you say this, it means billion kilowatt hours, because you're going to be saying that a lot. Right, great. So we've got the first two. Now, a problem with this is there are 20 numbers here. And it's too many. You don't have time to say all of the numbers. So you've got to either leave a few out, or you've got to find ways of squashing them all into one sentence. So I'm going to try and squash them all into, or lots of them, into one sentence, just to try and save some time and space. But I suspect I'm going to use too many words in this essay. It's a lot of numbers, and I don't know which ones to leave out, so let's just try. And I'll do that with a respectively sentence. So I think I'll put 3 in one sentence. Russia, Japan, and India, and use respectively. 1057.936.2. Electricity production in Russia, Japan, and India, 1, 2, 3, was this, this, and this, respectively. So that's quite a good way of squashing a lot of numbers into one sentence using this word respectively. I wouldn't go with more than 3. I think it becomes too clumsy then. Maximum 3. Now, what's next? Now I need to decide what I'm going to do with these. I think you can actually leave a few of these out. You don't want to leave Germany out because it's the exception. So you're definitely going to use those two. Definitely going to use those two because they're the lowest. So maybe we can leave these out maybe in the next paragraph. I'll try and say them all in this paragraph. And I'll show you another way of putting 3 or 4 even into one paragraph, into one sentence. And that's using the term fell in the range. So I've gone with noun phrase 3 again, the amount of electricity which was produced in Canada, France, Brazil and Germany all fell in the range of that to that. So I've managed to get 4 countries into one sentence, and I didn't have to say all of the numbers. It was just they were all very similar, and they all fell in the range of this. It's a good thing to remember. Then I'll just want to mention the lowest one, because remember they are asking for comparisons. So if you can say the highest and the lowest, it's good. So Korean Republic of Korea was 485.1. Electricity production in the Republic of Korea was lowest at 485.1. Actually, I think I'm going to add a finally here just for some linking language. Please notice I had to write it out. A lot of students, they just see this. This is a shortened version. It's for the table. It's for the chart. Don't write it like this. You must actually write Republic of Korea. The USA, it's okay to write USA, or the United Kingdom, it's okay to write UK. But others, no, you must write them out. Great. But I can see we've got a problem here. How many words is that? 142 words already. So, this is going to be a long essay. I'll try and make it a bit shorter, but Right, linking language. Turning to the second data set on electricity consumption. Turning to the data set on electricity consumption, it can be seen that, again, China and the USA were also the 2 highest. So we should say them. Electricity consumption, there's my noun phrase as the subject of the sentence. Here's my 2 preposition phrases, in China and the USA, main verb and X. And the respectively. You can use respectively more than once, don't worry about it. What's next? Now I've used too much word, so I actually want to put these all together. I'm going to say in the remaining states, in the remaining countries. So I'm doing this because I'm trying to finish. I mean, it's already, let's see how many words, and I still want to talk about Germany. 193 words already. So I'm trying to find a way to talk less. Now all I really want to do, I've said enough. How many numbers have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I usually recommend that you try and go for about 12 numbers. If there are less than 12 numbers, you must say all of them. But generally speaking, 12 numbers is about how much you want to go. This is 20 numbers, it's too many. Some of the tables have 30 numbers. You can't say all of them. 12, generally speaking, as a general rule of thumb, is okay. But I want to just mention one more, which is the Germany. I decided to put it into a new paragraph on its own. You don't have to, don't panic about that. I put it there alone just because it's not only about consumption. I'm just pointing out something that's unique about this. Now, some students want to say the word interestingly. Never use interestingly in task 1, because interesting is about your opinion, and we don't want your opinion in task 1. So maybe you can say notably. That's worth noting if you want to say something like that. It's a nice word. No harm done. But even so, even though I tried, there's a lot of electricity, even though I tried a lot to try and not use all the words and put them all in one sentence, even so it's 212 words. I think that's just the nature of this task. It's a very difficult one to write in only 150 words. So that's why it's really good to have your noun phrases so that you can just write the sentences quickly. All right, I think a pretty difficult task one, this one, just because of which numbers to leave out, how to mention them all of that sort of thing. Paraphrase, overview, not so bad, but the numbers were difficult, which ones to choose. Okay, the next video, I'll make it soon, I promise, is going to be a student essay of this task, and I will point out some of the common mistakes, so make sure you watch that. Great, thank you very much.